Good morning. Greetings, Jaja children. On all right. Lily of the Valley here, and I'm bringing you greeting in the name of Jehovah, our Creator, and Jesus Christ of Nazareth, our King. And today's topic is fulfillment of a prophecy of GPS not working. Because it happened to me, and that was back in 2017. I had posted about it not working and people to look out for it. Then a couple of days later, the GPS just was way off. And then I was coming from Cobb, going towards, I think, Alpharetta in Georgia. And then it ended me up in the wrong lane. So I was in the lane turning left, and I was supposed to keep straight, but it told me to turn left. And I stopped because the light was on green, waiting for cars to come over. Then a policewoman, an Edomite, she was in front of me, signaling me to come over because I was obstructing traffic, she said, but there was nothing behind me. So when I finally came over, she pulled me over and then arrested me for 5 traffic offenses, a whole bag of stuff. So by the time I got done, they took me and said there was a warrant for my arrest. So I was on my way prior to that going to Jamaica to look about my mom because my mom was sick. So I was driving a car that was extra car that I had. I wasn't going to be coming back for a while, so I was giving it away. So the tag had expired. So an expired tag is like a $25 charge. The policewoman in Atlanta, she pulled me over that time and said she could impound my car, this, that, and the other. I told her I was giving the car away as a gift, and of course she didn't impound it. So I went to the airport, wrote them a letter to the court where the ticket stuff information was, telling them I was going to be out of the country, reschedule the court date. They didn't. What the judge in Atlanta did was issue an arrest warrant for me. The fee for an expired tag in Georgia is at $25 at the time. And then the person who you give the car to, they have 30 days to register it and get a new tag because it was a gift. They don't care about stuff like that in Georgia. It's a money-making place. Every time they charge you is money. Every time they impound your car is money. It's one of the most corrupt places on earth, and we're seeing that now. So today we're looking at the GPS. Back in 2017, what happened? Okay, I said GPS is way off, rerouting and rebooting, and very delayed in the middle of trips. Don't know if anything is coming to GPS on a grand scale, but to be safe, have a backup map, print your directions, or have a backup non-phone GPS with you in your vehicle. That was in January 6, 2017. So after that, you see a woman get stuck in the desert for 5 days. That story was on yahoo.com, and I said this GPS foolishness led me to be in the wrong lane and to police harassment and imprisonment in February 2017. I guess more GPS crap will surface in the news. So more GPS problems coming. Okay? Because remember, even in Enoch's book and in Esdras, it tells you the earth is going to be shifting. The things are disappearing. Esau think they can make their nest in the star, but the Most High already sealed these things. Okay, so in 2020 now the GPS failed on a grand scale, and in 2021, because I was watching the protesters go to DC, and they were already complaining that they couldn't get there. So the Trump rally goes to DC on the week of January 6, 2021, from as early as the Monday or the Tuesday. They were complaining because I was watching it on the back news, the back channels, and they were like, oh, they couldn't get there. Their Apple GPS and their Google Maps or whatever maps they were using failed. Their cellular signals too, they were saying, were blocked on their mobile device. So you know, when you see now that a lot of these tech companies who are on the Biden team for the registration, they all were in on it. So these are two of the videos so far, but I was watching them on alternative news. So these are the sources. So the reason why they doing this is they don't want the will of the people. Satan's kingdom is coming to an end, and he's not going to go out without a fight. So democracy is a Greek form of government, and it's the government by the people. So if democracy is government by the people, judging from Crumb side alone, he's the winner. November 3rd, we only have an election day in America. I don't vote. I just compare what is happening, when it's happening, so that I can tell my people where we are in our Bible in this earth. So the democratic form of government is by the people for the people. The people have a right to petition their government for redress. You have thousands and thousands of affidavits, camera footage that they want to shove under the rug. It's not going to go away. I've never seen any ballot stuff in country survive. It's just violence after that, and mayhem, because when there's no law, everybody take the law into their own hands. So the November 3rd election day, Trump won by a landslide that shocked everybody, and they went into overdrive because they were trying to get him out of office by any means necessary. You're seeing a wholesale effort to cancel him worldwide. How do worldwide people know how to cancel one person if they're not colluding and if they're not a cartel? Yeah. So they did the same thing to me during the mortgage fraud. Banks that I never heard of. Scotland, Germany, and it's the same people. Ashkenaz, Genesis 10, the Catholics, the Hamites, the Ishmaelites. Look at them in Psalm 83. They all work together for the same purpose. So Ashkenaz is a Japheth's grandson. Genesis 10, verse 1 to 6 lists him as a grandson of Japheth. He's not a son of Shem, and he's not a son of Israel. The 12 tribes of Israel, that's who my tribe is. I'm from the tribe of Judah. They're not a white nation. They're a black nation. So all these lies that they're trying to push worldwide, it's going to have to end at some point. So see Ezekiel 38 for that, Revelation 20 and the whole book of Revelation, Psalm 83 and Obadiah 1. So when you see all this Space Force and this GPS and people wanting that stuff, it's going to be off too. Because when they are testing all these things for what is coming. So democracy as a form of government is on its last leg. If they don't get to the bottom of what happened on November 3rd, just go and look up election violence worldwide and see how many years it lasts after that, till when the country becomes anarchy or every man have his own laws, okay? So what happened to the dueling electors cast by the disputed states in the U.S. 2020 general elections is still not even answered either. All the evidence of election fraud has not been heard yet. And it's going to be heard. So why November 3 on election day, when Trump won, turned into a ballot stuffing initiative afterwards, is still not answered. Why there is collusion with big tech, big cash, big media, big pharma, etc. against the people of the USA using nanotech, fractional voting, machines, manipulated algorithms, deplatforming, banning alternative news reporting, propaganda, and so forth is coming to light. Everybody been complaining. They've been locking me out from 2017, you know, and I didn't even know. And I was just teaching the Bible and history, black history, you know. So this is Gab. Most people can't even get on it right now. But here is somebody telling you that, yeah, they were aware.
App showing directions to Washington, D.C. in advance of Trump's speech at Save America rally. It's not yet known what was causing the issue. If you're tired of cancel culture and censorship, subscribe to Reclaim the Net. Numerous Twitter users are reporting that Apple Maps temporarily returned a directions not available message as they attempted to pull up directions to Washington, D.C. in advance of tomorrow's Save America rally where President Trump will be speaking. The rally is one of several protests, marches, and rallies that will be taking place in the nation's capital on Wednesday, the same day that Congress will declare the winner of the 2020 U.S. presidential election. Millions of Americans are expected to travel to Washington, D.C. to attend these protests, marches, and rallies, but less than 24 hours before these events, Apple Maps users took to Twitter to report that directions to the Capitol were showing as not available. Some of the many Apple Maps users who were affected by the issue include author and radio host Todd Starnes, One America News host Stephanie Hamill, and conservative author Bridget Gabriel. The issue was resolved around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time (EST) and appeared to affect users for a couple of hours. While it's unclear what caused this Apple Maps issue, it highlights the impact of big tech's mass control of digital infrastructure. Apple Maps is the default navigation app for the more than 100 million U.S. iPhone users and relied upon by millions of these users for navigation.
Yep, so
Apple Maps
the
stopped
separation is on. The separating of the sheep from the goats. It's inevitable. Nation states are back on because that's how they started. As it was in the beginning, it's going to be like that in the end. And people can't live amongst people who don't share their views if they're not Bible based, and that's just what it is.
Need to send money internationally? Download
So
the
you
Western
see a lot
Union
of
app.
companies
Available.
banding together to even stop people from using a service that they pay for. They can shut you down. If they don't like you, they shut you down and they take your money and they take everything. That's Hitler Gestapo. You understand? HITLERDVD.com tells you Hitler. He has some very good sources there.
24/7.
Hitler was
The Western
also
Union app helps you
of
send money
Ashkenazi
anytime around
bloodline.
Google and Apple Maps won't give directions to Washington, D.C.
So
because they
it's not
don't
a
want you going
coincidence
to a
that they're
certain
all
big rally. We
colluding.
recently debunked the claim that Muriel Bosworth, the mayor of Washington, D.C., closed all hotels, restaurants, grocery stores, gas stations and convenience stores January 4th to 6th to discourage supporters of President Donald Trump from gathering in the capital city. Now some social media users are spreading a rumor that Google and Apple were trying to stop people from protesting the 2020 election results in D.C. Google Maps won't give you directions to D.C. right now, read one January 5th Facebook post. Neither will Apple Maps. You know why? They don't want you going to a certain big rally tomorrow. I bet the big tech hypocrites fix this bug before Jan 20th. The post features a video showing someone searching for directions to Washington, D.C. in Apple Maps and receiving a message that says directions not available. Directions are not available at this time because of current road conditions, the app says in the video. This post was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news and misinformation on its news feed. Read more about our partnership with Facebook. The video appears to be authentic. Initially, PolitiFact staffers in Florida, Texas and Louisiana all tried to map directions to Washington using Apple Maps and received the same message. However, another staffer based in New York successfully found a 3-hour and 51-minute route.
Now you see why the big tech were scrubbing the natural cures. Now you see why leading up to the pandemic, all of those naturopaths were being killed. And if they were into saving lives, we thought, okay, what we know growing up would be welcome news. No, all of that information on how people could get over this coronavirus, open up, all of that was scrubbed. So it's a crime against the people of the earth, but they don't know that their day is coming. The people who are committing these crimes, they should read James chapter 5 very carefully, read the book of Revelation very carefully, read Ezekiel 38 very carefully, read Psalm 83 very carefully, because they only do it to conservatives. They are exempt. They were the ones burning down the country for quite a long time. The place was on fire for months. Black Lives Matter wouldn't be rioting if they didn't listen to the heathen customs that tell them to kill their children. Your children is your posterity. It's your next generation. If you kill them in the womb or as soon as they're born, and if you teach them degenerate behavior, you're not going to have a nation. Go back, read the book of Joshua. Read the book of Jubilees as to what life was like in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why they were destroyed. All great empires get destroyed because of the sin of the nation, not because of climate change. The Most High already told us we're getting a new heaven, a new earth, and a new Jerusalem. And when the wicked bear rule, everybody mourns and the earth mourns. You saw Trump with the crowd. The crowd means he won, because judging by the crowd side of the other candidate, there was not a significant crowd there. Majority rules, isn't that what democracy is? Yeah, and so Trump won on November 3rd because the election day ends at 12 midnight on November 3rd. There's no November 4th, 5th, week, day.